Thank you, Will.
So just looking at the team you've managed to select, when you actually look at it, I think it's still got 860 odd caps. So are you still quite pleased at the amount of experience that you've been able to put on the park despite all these injury problems?
Yeah, we like you, Will, have a half full glass, and things like that are encouraging. Look, we have got experience here. You did right. It's really just the midfield and the jackal threats that we were looking to put into the game, which we don't have as many. So look, we do have a lot of experience around those players, and hopefully that's going to come to bear on the weekend. And someone like Liam Williams coming in, unfortunate for Hallam getting an injury, but to have someone like Liam Williams, a British Lion, to come in is obviously very, very good from our point of view. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom.
In years gone by and in previous regimes and things like that, Wales often pull out some of their best sort of epic performances when backs are against the wall and there are injuries left, right and centre. They've done that at World Cups and all sorts. You expect that kind of rallying performance that Wales have managed to pull out before on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we've discussed it prior to the injuries, so nothing's really changed in terms of our approach, because with a 6-day turnaround after a game like Ireland, which was always going to be a physical encounter, we sort of know that this is going to be a big game in this particular Six Nations for us. So, look, the guys know they're going to have a tough day at the office, regardless of these injuries and the players that have been selected. Whichever 15 we put out, or 23, we know we're going to have our hands full. But it's a game that we know is very, very important to this campaign for both sides. And, you'd like to expect both sides to come out and put in a pretty good effort.
Just one on the Scots before I let the others go. Obviously an incredible result for them at Twickenham. Largely built on their pretty strong defence, which is coached by a Welshman, which is funny. What have you made of them, their recent performances, and what you're going to have to do to beat them up at Murrayfield?
Yeah, look, we've got to make sure that our discipline is improving. When we played them last time, we were inaccurate at the set piece, and our discipline wasn't there. So we allowed them too much possession and territory as a result, and we ended up losing that game 14-10. On the weekend, they showed again they can hold the ball for long periods of time, and England, who didn't have the best discipline, paid the ultimate price. So discipline is a key. Our set piece is a key, and it's something we've talked about this week, and it's something we'll continue to talk about until we get to game day.
Hi Wayne, given the injuries and the short week, how much training and work you're actually able to do on the stuff you want to fix after the Ireland game?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this will be our one full training session will be today. We had a run through yesterday where it was more clarity and it was organisation really. Today will be the one where we get a good blow. So yeah, a lot of mental preparation has gone in and obviously a lot less physical preparation this particular week. And that's just the way it is.
And off the back of that, what are you hoping to see from your line-out this week after the issues that you had last week?
Yeah, well, the line-out without the ball, our defensive line-out was good, so we want to build on that. So we're continuing to do good work there. Yes, and we obviously had 3 or 4 that, there's inches in it, and we've just got to keep perfecting our drill and working hard at it, making sure that we get our percentages up, because that possession is, especially against teams like Ireland and Scotland, who are now holding the ball for long periods, it makes it difficult if you can't win your set piece. So, yeah, it's something that is a constant work on.
I think you mentioned earlier coming across Willis in the Auckland Academy. What was he like back then, and could you sort of see his talent and potential then?
Yeah, well, to get into the Auckland Academy as a young player, you've been identified from a young age, and he was one of those players that just had fantastic feet, something that you can't coach. He's just got natural ability and skill. With Willis, it was always a matter of just how much he was prepared to put into the game and how hard he wanted to work, and getting the work ethic required to play at the top level. He worked hard at that over a long period of time, and he ended up doing well with the Hurricanes, and then on the back of that, getting a contract at the Blues. So, look, he's come back, fought back from a serious injury, so he's showing a lot of character there as well. And look, I think he could be a special player going forward.
Hi Wayne, just to clarify on Josh, was his injury from the game, and moving forwards, do you have to think about monitoring his workload, because clearly he hasn't played for a long time and he's suffered another injury?
Yeah, both Joshes. So Josh Navidi, look, we're always going to be looking after him, regardless of how he comes out of a game, because of his history. We want to make sure that the player well-being is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and that we look after Josh when and where we see fit. But the nature of the way he plays the game, you know, he doesn't shy off anything, and you saw him carry into contact, and you saw some of the tackles he put in, and you saw him getting cleaned out. So the position he plays, you know, you're getting hit on all sorts of different angles, and guys' heads and necks and shoulders and knees and ankles, they're all getting knocked around. And so he's one that's had a heavy workload after being out for a long time. So, you know, the fact that he's in getting treatment, it would have been a tough call to select him again, regardless, I think, personally. But it was taken out of our hands with the injury anyway. In terms of Josh McLeod, you know, that's... you know, it's a serious injury, an Achilles. But again, there was no contact involved in that. That was just, just one of those things.
One of the things with no crowds is obviously you can hear a lot more of what's going on the pitch. At the Ireland game, from our perspective, it was quite noticeable that Dan Biggar was really sort of the only voice in the team, driving the team on. Sam Warburton said recently that you may lack a bit of leadership. I just wondered, is that an area you think you can make improvements?
We've got a lot of experience, which we've touched on in terms of caps. Dan is one of our, all 10s. I'll be very surprised if you don't hear Sexton shouting at his players. That's part of their role. You know, they're organisers, and they help get us around the field. Dan's that by nature. He's like that in training. It's part of his personality. Look, we're hooked up to the referees' mics. There's a lot of chat from a lot of players. Justin Tipuric is talking the entire time. You know, Gareth Davies is talking a hell of a lot. There's a lot of talk going on, but he's probably got more volume than the rest, should we say.
Thank you.
Wayne, just a couple of quick things from me. First of all, any update on Jonathan Davis? How's he, and when are you likely to have him back?
Yeah, so he's on track for England, which is really good. A lot of these injuries, you know, are 1 to 2 weekers. So, you know, we're predicting that most of the guys will be back available or in contention for the England game.
Obviously, the way you won last week, if it had gone the other way, it would brought a certain amount of pressure. So what kind of momentum, what platform does it give you? And also, what pressure is Scotland under? Because in the past, they've not always been able to back up the kind of performances that we saw from them last week.
From our point of view, you know, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in terms of the way we train and the way we want to perform. And we haven't been happy in terms of an 80-minute performance. So every team is striving to do that, and we're no different. Look, I think, you know, in terms of Scotland, they've learned a lot from the Rugby World Cup. They've made changes, and you can see that in the way they play. And he's got a good group of players there that are playing for each other. You can see that. And so, look, I think they'll relish the position they're in, and they seem to be going from strength to strength. And it's certainly something that we're looking to do and achieve ourselves. So it's going to be an interesting game, but yeah, hopefully that answers it.
And finally, for me, Wayne, it's just slightly away from the game as well. But obviously, with the way the game ended last week, we saw the kind of abuse that Billy Burns has taken online. I just wonder what's your take on this growing problem and how we tackle it. Are there instances that you've had to deal with within your camp as well, and how do you support the players?
Yeah, well, we had a player that was on the receiving end of a lot, and it was from his teammates and his management, and that was Gareth Davies. After his, I guess Billy Burns can thank Gareth for the explosion that he had in that last play, which should have been the last play of the game, I should say. But yeah, look, it's disappointing, isn't it? But it happens. It's been going on for years and years, and I think you know, people will always voice their opinions, and you know, with the way you can do it in social media these days, I guess it's up to individuals too. Personally, I don't look at social media, so you know that it's out there. But look, it's part and parcel. You put yourself out there in these sorts of positions as professional sportsmen. Your performances are being judged in everyone's lounge or live at the game when crowds are there. So there's no hiding places. If you perform well, you know, you get a lot of accolades, and people love getting those accolades. But when you don't perform that well, I guess you got to put up with some of the other nonsense that goes on.
Wayne, just a quick one on Finn Russell, if I could, and the influence he brings to bear on Scotland. Do you have to make any special plans for sort of a unique player like that?
We're well aware of his talents, and you're right in selecting him out. You know, when he goes well, Scotland go well. So he is a pivotal player. He's one that, you know, he's an exciting player, I think. Look, if he's if you put too much time and energy into one player, then it quite often leads to problems in other areas. But look, we're aware of his skill set. We're aware of what he brings to the side. We'll look where we can to put pressure on him, as we did the last time we played them. But yeah, we've got a lot of respect for him.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.